This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with the Impactful Parent. Since 2019, they've been creating better relationships between parents and their children, providing parent coaching, online courses, and free resources for parents. I'm joined here with Kristina Campos. Thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. Basically, you're formally educated with a bachelor's degree at the University of Colorado. You went on to receive a master's at the University of Denver. At the turn of the century, you began your career really as a teacher. And for the past 2 decades, you've been working with students as well as parents. Share with me a little bit how your passion for helping parents navigate through parenthood began for you.
Well, I mean, that's a long story, right? Because there's always a journey to everything, but I've always wanted to help families. Okay. That's why I became a teacher. You have to have a calling for that. And unfortunately for me, teaching just, it got overwhelming, it got really busy, and more than anything, I had 4 kiddos at home that really needed my attention. And with that, I decided to shift gears, and you have to figure that out. So when I do teaching, I put myself 100% in. I don't do 9 to 5 teaching. I take it home with me. Yep. And that's a reason why I had to kind of reevaluate and think, how can I help people and still be able to help the children that I want, be there for my own kids? Because as my teenagers were emerging, I mean, I saw they needed me more then than they had when they were little. And so I really wanted to be there for them. And then the Impactful Parent was born. I mean, and it came out of the most odd thing. It's just like any other parent, you know, it's a hustle and bustle morning. I'm just trying to get the kids out the door, breakfast ready, and in the meantime, I'm yelling at one to, you know, get their bag. I'm telling another one to fix up their clothes because they look ridiculous, and, you know, it's just trying not to burn the eggs and trying to fix the hair of the littlest one. And through all of that hustle and bustle that I know parents can understand, I felt lonely. And lonely was pretty surprising to me, but really that's really what it was, because when you have small kids, there's a lot of support.
Absolutely.
There is.
I think your story is typical for so many people out there. Maybe they didn't look at it as much and realize that they felt the way you did. Let me ask you this. Is it safe to say the world is ever changing and the parenting techniques of past generations are not always applicable with today's kids? Would you say that is true?
Yeah, well, this is a new generation of parenting altogether, because no other time have we had to deal with social media, just screens in general, the communication between the kids, just even the expectations of what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to live their lives. It's completely different than ourselves. And I think it's hard for parents in that way because there's no manual for any of this. So now we're a group of parents that want to do the best they can for their kid, but are lost in how do we get there? How do we do this? I don't know what it's like to have my bully literally inside of my pocket. But when I grew up, my bully was at the school. I had to face them for a particular amount of time, and then I went home, and that was a safe haven. It's not like that anymore. So it's really trying to figure out how to navigate and support our kids in a different way.
We definitely need different tools. We're talking about a bully can be with you 24/7. There's got to be a way to overcome many of that. As a parent of 4 children yourself, you understand that parenting is challenging. Is building a bond with our children really critical to successful navigation through those years?
Oh my gosh, it is the most important thing that you can do. There's a saying in the parenting world that you need to connect before you correct. And it goes way beyond that. And I'm not talking just about discipline, although that's what that the author of that quote was referring to, was discipline. It goes way beyond that. Connection with your child is literally everything. It's getting them to listen to you better. It's getting them to have the influence that you want so that they want to please you. It's having a relationship with somebody that you really care about. Connection, it's pivotal. And it's one of the main pillars that I teach in the Impactful Parent community.
Definitely so. I mean, as parents, we are preparing our kids for the real world, to grow as responsible, capable adults. Are school-age children's parenting needs different than that of maybe the younger children?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have way different things that are happening. Like I said, when you were a younger parent with
Yes.
younger children, there's so much support there. There's books that you can read. As your child gets older, the fears intensify.
Yeah.
You know, for me personally, I was thinking, God, I hope I'm not messing this up. I was also worried about, man, I hope my child is not going down the wrong path. And then lastly, I was like, can I please have them listen to me? If they could just listen to me, then I know I can help them. And with teenagers, it's a different ball game than a toddler. It just is. They are independent. They are trying to figure out their own stuff. They have a lot of things going on. And as a parent, we got to figure out new techniques to bond with them, that connection piece that we're talking about, and figuring out how to also empathize and be the best we can to support them, which is just absolutely different than a toddler.
Definitely so. As a parent myself, I have ages from first grade all the way up to college, and they're all so different. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying.
And I can add to that because also different. What works for one kid does not necessarily work for the second.
Very
and
important.
that is what makes parenting so frustrating, because right when you think you got it all down and you've got it figured out, something else happens.
There is no cookie cutter when it comes to
No,
parenting.
it's not.
I learned that very quickly. I mean, you teach, the more they grow, the more our role shifts, really, from guardian to coach. Explain what that may look like for people out there. What does coaching look like when it comes to our older kids?
It's just like what it sounds. Well, when you are a coach, you're a guide. You're going to teach a technique, like if you were even a coach of a sport, right? You're going to teach a technique, and then you have that child practice, and you're there to support them, you're there to tweak, you're there for advice. But that's the role you're shifting into as your child becomes an adolescent, because if we try to still be the authoritative figure, we're going to get pushback from this individual who is really trying to be an individual. Everything inside them is saying, I need to go be an independent person and separate from my parents. And it doesn't mean they're not listening. It just means that they're trying to grow up and be their best self.
They're trying to be the authority themselves.
Exactly.
And which totally makes sense.
And you need that, because in 18 years, they're going to be the authoritarian of themselves. And so you need to give them the tools they need to be successful. And that's what a coach does. It's not just telling them what to do. It's really coaching them through life, giving them the tips, tools, and techniques they need to be what they need to be.
Speaking of the coaching and the tools, are there particular skill sets that we can teach to help them make choices in life and to manage their needs as we support them and support their goals?
Particular skill sets, well, there's several. I would say for highly successful children, a couple things that parents would be able to teach is responsibility.
Okay.
Those come, that's very difficult to say, like, teach responsibility. Like, well, how do you do that? That's what we do inside the Impactful Parent, is we show people how to give examples of how you can teach responsibility at home. But not just responsibility, I would say things like work ethic and just that desire, that oomph. So many times we complain that our teenagers today are lazy. I got a lazy teenager, I can't get them up, they don't want to do anything. And there's different kinds of laziness. What kind of motivation are they lacking? Is it they're just not inspired by something, or are they afraid to try something because they might fail? So instead they don't even try at all. That does mask as laziness, Or are you looking at a child that it just is lost? I wanted to go to college, but I don't know what I want to major in. I'm just not sure. And so there's different types that I feel like we label kids as being a particular thing, like lazy. And really we as parents need to learn how to dive deeper in and figure out what's really the motivation of that.
And if you have those bonds with them, you can ask those tough questions and you can get those answers that will help you. These resources you have made available are in an easy-to-use downloadable app. This is like having a parenting coach right in your pocket. Why don't you explain to the viewers what they're going to find in that app?
Oh my gosh, there is over 200 different videos on things that parents need, and why I created it was because when you're a parent, you're worried, you're staying up in the middle of the night, you can't sleep, and those things plague you literally in the middle of the night. And I didn't want people going down the Google machine of crazy. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I wanted them to have a really reliable source that they can come to in the middle of the night if they needed to, or whenever was convenient for them, and learn from it. And so inside the app, not only is there free 30-day challenges to make you a better parent, different parent education, online tools that you can use, parenting resources. Geez, like there's so much inside the app. But all those videos, those 200 videos I'm talking about, they're real questions that I get from parents that they need to know. How to get my child to stop procrastinating. I want to know if my child has ADHD. I think they know, but I'm not too sure. How can I find out? I don't know what to do when my child is starting to like pick at their eyebrows, and I notice that it's just like getting bald right here. Like, what is that? All these questions are literally inside the app within 10 to 30-minute videos, hopefully shorter than longer, because I know we're all busy parents. So that's what I created the app.
Real tangible tools. We're talking about
Absolutely.
real questions, real things that we're coming across. I mean, a cornerstone to your teaching also is connection. Not only connecting with our children today, but creating a connection that lasts. Is that a big part of what they're going to learn with you?
Absolutely. And that connection is something that, like I said, is so pivotal. It's something that every family needs, and it will trickle down to solve a lot of the problems that we're having today. But a lot of parents don't know how to create that connection, especially with a growing adolescent that is just trying to push them away. And that's, again, what we do inside The Impactful Parent is how can you cultivate that connection? How can we give you some tools so that you can start figuring things out so that you can create that with your child, see those bonds, and now it's just a more peaceful household.
Even more frustrating for myself is the fact that some kids I have a great connection with, and the other ones didn't come too easy. And so those are the ones you kind of wonder, what am I doing wrong? But yet they're unique individuals. Another foundation of your program is behavior management. You say big changes plus big emotions can equal big challenges. Is behavior management critical to having a peaceful, functional, non-chaotic home?
I think that it is. However, it goes back to the connection piece. And behavior management is really just a symptom to the problem. You're just trying to fix something that's happening in the moment, which is part of the program. Like a lot of people, they're not just frustrated in general. There's something specific that they need done right now, and they need tools and tips for solving this particular problem I'm in. And that's great, that's what we provide. But more importantly, too, with behavior management is catching the bad things before they start. And that's another thing that we offer is continuous parent education, workshops, groups, seminars, that's going to help parents get ahead of their kids. Because you can't stop bad things before they happen unless you know those warning signs. You know what you're looking for. And that's really the piece that a lot of parents miss because we're all trying to play catch up.
The behavior management really is in reaction many times to what we're doing. The connection is the proaction.
It is.
I mean, it's really proactive on the front end to make sure you can utilize those tools that you need. You provide community, advice, and resources so that we can have less yelling, more smiles, better choices, less worrying. I mean, really stronger relationships. Beyond the app that you have, how can parents get your one-on-one coaching? How do they get started with you?
Absolutely. You can go on to theimpactfulparent.com, and there you're going to see all kinds of things. So on there, there's a podcast that I do every week. I offer those parent education workshops every week, and each week there's a different topic depending on the week. So if the topic interests a parent, it's a drop-in thing. So easy, so quick. You can continue your parenting education through that. Your one-on-one coaching is great for parents and families that just need that personal attention, or maybe they just want to be personal with somebody. And sometimes group coaching, I love group coaching because you can learn from the entire group, which we offer also. But sometimes you don't want to air your dirty laundry out to everybody. Sometimes some people need just to have that one-on-one connect with somebody, and that's what I'm here for too, to offer any advice I can, any tips, any techniques, and then to be that person to say, hey, you don't have to do this alone, so that you don't have to be lonely the same way I was.
That's excellent. So you got the coach in your pocket, or you got the coach on the phone, really which one works best for you, or possibly even both. Kristina, you provide resources, advice, community, and really a safe space to ask questions. Your resources help establish a stronger relationship with a child and provide the tools they really need to succeed. Is this rewarding work for you?
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. I miss teaching kids, I do, and I do substitute as much as I can that my schedule allows. But there is nothing like helping a family find that bond again. That's really where the magic happens, because that's the source. That's the source of usually the majority of issues kids have. It starts with the family, and if we can be solid for them, that means all those outside influences, they're not as influential because they have that solid core of their family. And so to help families is very rewarding.
Obviously, your passion comes from helping the family. I mean, a lot of our issues we can take care of in the family, but let's be honest. Us as parents, we spend a lot of our times at work, okay? What is your component there to help folks out there as well?
Well, I do talk to business owners, and I try to get into their lunch hour. So one service that I offer is to go into businesses and conduct a parent workshop around their lunchtime hour. Of course, it doesn't have to be around lunchtime, but what this does is parents that are distracted by whatever is happening at home, they're distracted at work, they don't turn in things on time, they have to miss absences at work. All of this trickles down to the employer, right?
Sure.
And so what I'm hoping is that if businesses have me come in and just let's start answering some of these issues, like what those parent education seminars look like is a lot like what you'll see in the app.
Yeah.
Why is my child procrastinating? Let's talk about that. And for the hour of lunch, we talk about how parents can really get strategies to solve those problems this is horrible. To solve those problems at home so that they can be more productive at work and be able to still feel good about what's happening with them and their kids at home.
So many of the issues we see out there today is because we lost that. We lost that core value. We lost the family. And basically the kids aren't able to look inward. And so they're looking everywhere. Like you said, the Google machine of chaos, if you will.
Oh, yeah. If kids have a question and nobody can tell them the answer, or the parents are kind of beating around the bush about the answer, they'll fill in that blank space with their own narrative. And that's where it gets tricky. That's where the kids are going off to Google, going off to friends, going off to wherever they can find those answers so that they can fill in that blank space. And I want parents to fill in that space.
That's scary, because it can be a hit and miss, and then they go down the wrong road for many, many years. Excellent. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right now, and what you're going to see is their website. On the website, you can see all the services and products that she provides. Download the app, obviously, and check out all of her online courses as well. She is available as a speaker for your group, or maybe even your business, so your employees will be happier and more productive as well. Read the great reviews, then set up a consultation. Once again, that is The Impactful Parent, creating better relationships between parents and their children. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.